Hi guys, it's Nicole Torres, and I'm gonna be showing you guys today how to do one of my favorite looks, which is a blown out eye and a nude lip. So I'm gonna be using our NYX Professional Makeup Love Less Disco palette, and this is in Living Lavish, so it has these gorgeous caramelly yellow tone browns. Just gonna complement our beautiful model, Marissa's eyes. She has hazel eyes. So I'm gonna push her hair back. And a blown out eye is really the opposite of structured, right? It's very diffused. And so we want to create a very editorial yet sultry look to her eye. So I'm gonna start with this very light shade in the palette. It's going to be the lightest matte shade, and it has that honey undertone. And we're going to place our brush. I'm using a very fluffy brush. For a blown out eye, you want to use very, very fluffy brushes to blend out all of those lines. You want everything to be fused together. So the first place where we put the brush, we're gonna have the most pigmentation. So that's where we're gonna build up that depth in the outer corner of the eye, and then sweep everything into that crease. And this is even gonna go up towards her brow. So you can put your brush right in that socket, no extra product, and really blow it up to the brow. Go on the other side. And I'm tapping versus a circular motion, so that's really gonna push that product right where we want it. And then with whatever's remaining on the brush, we're gonna drag it into the inner corner. So really, the entire lid of the eye has this very diffused wash of color. And I'm leaving the center of the lid pretty naked, and we're gonna assess that area later. But for now, we're building up color with these browns. So I'm gonna go into the palette and go to this warm caramel shade. And this is going to deepen that eye. So we're basically utilizing a smaller brush in a tighter area, and what that's going to do is that's going to give a very gradient effect to the eye. Swing around this way. And if you have any excess product on your brush, to avoid the fallout, you can just press on the back of your palette. And with the first brush that we used, I'm actually going to take no additional product and go ahead and buff out those edges. A blown out eye is all about very diffused, buffed edges. And we really are blowing this eye out to the gods, right? So if you're getting some like near the cheek area, like I'm pushing this all the way back past the brow. And once we get to the drop shadow underneath, you'll really see that this is gonna start to fuse almost into the cheek area, and we're gonna blow out the blush as well into it. So continue with your blending brush. Again, no additional product on the brush. We're just blowing it out and blending it. Love the way shadow looks when you're just pushing it with no additional product. It just gets so blended and diffused. Literally like blowing it up into her hairline. So more tapered brush, so this guy right here, we're gonna go in with that first shade, which is that light shade right here. And I'm working with the smaller of the two brushes, just because the under eye is a small area. So look up, and I'm wiggling the brush. When you're doing an eye that is very diffused and very blown out, one big tip is to hold your brush all the way towards the end of the brush. What that does is it gives a very light amount of pressure, which then in turn gives you a very buffed in and blended effect with the eyeshadow. Think of like when you're using a pencil, the tighter you hold that pencil and the closer you hold it, the stronger the actual ink is gonna go onto the paper, or lead rather. Okay? We're gonna do that same. We're gonna wrap and hug this color all the way around the eye. Again, being very liberal, because we're gonna blow this out to the blush later. And then, once I'm happy with the saturation, I'm actually gonna go in one of my favorite brushes. This guy is gonna be a dual fiber tapered brush that you can actually use for concealer and things of that nature. And it's very clean. I have nothing, no product on it whatsoever. And what I'm doing now is buffing and blending in that product so that it now is seamless with absolutely no harsh lines. And that's really what a blown out eye is all about. Okay, so I'm going to now take a rounded pencil brush and this chocolate color here, mixed in with a little bit of this caramel. I'm gonna use these two together to create some depth underneath the eye. All right. Again, taking our blending brush with nothing more on the brush and just buffing out that product. And then I'm going to take a mix of those two deeper shades, again the caramel shade and the chocolate shade. And we're going to look down. We're going to really bring home that depth in the corner of the eye, and we're going to keep this pretty tight out to the rest of the eye look. So although we're blowing out these lighter shades, with a darker shade we want to keep it pretty concentrated. So I'm going to take a mixture of these two and further blend out this depth that we have in the corner. And this I'm using very, very light circular motions, and that's gonna give a really beautiful blend. Okay, perfect. Right. So I'm pretty happy with the depth of her eye. We're gonna move on to one of my favorite parts, which is adding a little glitz and glam to this eye. So right now, with the blown out effect and these deepened colors on the edges of her eyes, it's looking a little grungy, which is totally a vibe, but we're gonna add our ring finger to this gorgeous glitter shade, and that naked part of the eye that we left, look down, we're gonna add her. And I'm just pressing it in with my finger. And the warmth of my finger is really gonna make all the sparkle and glitter come out. And it's gonna give it a really stunning effect that I absolutely adore with an eye like this. It's like mixing that grungy, worn in eye with a little bit of that glam, and it just takes it up a notch. All right, so I'm gonna now go into a eyeliner pencil. I'm using a bronze, and the reason for that is because there's a really buffed in, sultry look that comes with a blown out eye, and we don't want to give any harshness to it. We want it to be very lived in and very blown out, obviously. So what's gonna blend a little bit better with these shades is gonna be a bronze. If I were to put a black, look up, all the way up. If I was to put a black, it would become very harsh and take away from the sultriness of the eye. So I'm putting this into her waterline. And it's gonna create that depth and dimension that we want, but still look very cohesive and blended in with the color story. Okay. So look down. I'm gonna tight line her eye. Again, we don't really wanna see any harsh lines, so I do want depth and dimension on her eye. However, I don't wanna see any lines up top. So for that reason, I'm gonna tight line. Also, she has a smaller eyelid, so this is really gonna not take up any space. Look down. And you can do a tight line by having your client look down, tugging a little bit on the eye, and just placing the product right on the little fleshy part of the inner rim. All right. So next step with this blown out eye is gonna be to add some blush. So I'm utilizing our Love Lust Disco blush palette, and I'm gonna go in with a dual fiber brush. Dual fiber brush is really awesome for something that's buffed in, blended, and blown out, because it has these fluffier hairs on the bottom of the brush that's going to really buff in that product, but it also has these smooth hairs up top that's gonna place the product. So it's gonna give a really nice airbrush effect. So I'm gonna take it with like the belly of the brush. Again, if you have any excess, tap it on the palette. And we're going to start on the apple of her cheek and go all the way up to the seams of that eyeshadow. And I'm even bringing it up to the temples. We want to fuse these features together. Okay. And the cool thing about this dual fiber brush also is that these little hairs are really gonna work towards fusing and marrying these edges of the cheek as well as the edges of the eyes together. Now what I'm gonna do to really blend these honey caramel tones with this peach blush is I'm gonna go in with a yellow blush, a little unconventional, but it does give this gorgeous, sunny, bronzy tone to the whole look, and it's really gonna make everything look super cohesive and blended. And now you really can't see where the shadow ends and where the blush starts, and that gives that beautiful editorial kind of effect. All right. And I'm not using the tip of the brush, I'm literally going in with the belly of the brush, tapping and letting those smooth bristles just melt right into that eyeshadow. Perfect. One tip with blush and creating a seamless effect is to take your powder foundation with a powder brush and sweep it right underneath. This is gonna clean up the bottom of the blush rather. And it's really gonna give that gorgeous, seamless effect. Perfect. Okay. Again, sweeping it right underneath the blush, just so that we have that seamless look. Okay. Now, what is a blown out eye and a nude lip without the nude lip, right? So I'm gonna use one of my favorite lip combos, and I think it's really, really perfect for this look because the colors that I chose have, for the lip liner as well as the lipstick, have a yellow undertone that is really gonna bring this look together. And then the gloss that I chose is gonna have a peachy effect that's gonna bring that blush color story right into the look. So when we do lip liner, I'm gonna ride the line of her natural lip. I'm not gonna go over, I'm not gonna go under. You can do that to manipulate the shape of the lip, but for her, I'm gonna ride the actual line of the lip. And when I'm pressing against her natural lip line, I'm using a bit more pressure, and then I'm almost taking it to the side and buffing in with a little bit of a lighter pressure, and that's gonna pretty much blend that lip liner right in. Now, whenever I'm doing liner, whether it be brows or eyeliner or lip liner, I'm always gonna use an anchor. So I have my, my pinky down on her skin with a puff to not disturb her makeup. But this is really gonna give you that anchor so that you're working with precision. What happens is if you go in with no anchor, you're gonna be wiggling around and not have that nice precise line. Especially working with a deeper shade, you'd be in trouble. So we're gonna go with London in the soft matte lip cream. Again, this goes with the same color story. It has that beautiful yellow undertone. It's really gonna bring this look together. And I like to put my pinky right under the lip to sort of slightly open up the lip to get that perfect application. Okay. And we're gonna top it off with the Bear With Me Lip Lingerie Gloss. And this is gonna take her lip from a snack to a whole meal. So what I like to do with a gloss or a topper is I like to concentrate it in the center of the lip. This is gonna make the lip look nice and juicy and pouty and really give that plumped effect, especially when it's a slightly lighter than the actual lipstick. So we're gonna do right on the actual center of that lip. Perfect. So I'm gonna give you guys a close-up of the final look. Turn. Right. And that is your blown out eye and nude lip. Thank you guys.